for you. Tell us more.
It was weird because it was all things that like make sense. Just random football things. And then the very last thing is about Larry King getting a divorce from his 7th wife. And I don't really know how or why that's on my stream or my trends. But apparently, I don't know. Hey, Larry King has filed for divorce from his 7th wife, Sean King, after 22 years of marriage.
All right.
I don't know what to do with that. Why is it on my trends? Twitter doesn't really know me. This is disgusting.
But does it? I mean, can we make a case that it does?
You could make the case that they got you to talk about it on a fantasy football podcast, so maybe they know exactly what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And I clicked it. I just opened it because I wanted to see what it said.
Well, now they definitely
got you in the trap. They've already got you in the trap.
Hook, line, and sinker.
That one time.
Well, there might be a
time
chance that Sean King is the quarterback.
I was gonna say that one time that you tweeted about, Marquise King, Sean King. It was done.
Could you imagine being 85 years old and getting a divorce? What? Dude's 85. Oh my God.
Do you think any of them were nice ladies? Do you think anyone were genuine? Did they win the King's heart over?
Ooh, I like what you did there, and apparently no. I think they all fumble in the 4th quarter. Izzy, you might be right with the Sean King thing, because I was doing some research on him the other day, which I think adds to a much larger discussion about how Twitter might be Big Brother. Because I was doing something on Tampa Bay quarterbacks the other day, and that's not cool. I don't really like that very much. I think something larger is at play here.
Have we confirmed that that's not who he's married to? Because it's still on the table, right? Until we confirm, because I have no idea who he's married to, and I don't know what Sean King is doing these days. He didn't get paid enough to where he wouldn't take a marriage from Larry King only to divorce and take half, right? So that's on the table. No.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm all for this conspiracy theory, and I think we should move it further. I think you need to take that tweet, J. Mike, and make another tweet about Sean King.
Wait, which Sean King? Sean King who is pictured with Larry King, or the Sean King? Bucks legend.
Bucks legend.
Yes.
I was on that Sean King the whole time. Are we talking about a different Sean King? J. Mike, this is a fantasy football podcast. Izzy, you too. If you're not going to bring football to the table and cross examine the Larry King, Sean King debate, then I don't know why we're here.
I never got a show sheet, so I didn't know this was getting brought up.
Okay, well, we could definitely start there. I certainly know one person that I asked to make a show sheet, and he deliberately said no.
I asked for a show sheet, and you guys just said refresh your trending topics on Twitter. That's what we're going through.
Well, that's what I want to know. I want to know everyone's trends for you. I'm really embarrassed to say the first one, J. Mike, but it is indeed Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
I don't know how.
All the VIP. Shout out to all the VIP.
I actually saw the J. Mike tweet on that. So
this is trending for J. Mike. This is trending for J. Mike right now. My goodness.
In case you were wondering, this is Sean King. Not the Sean King, but a Sean King.
That is a Sean King, yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm get it because okay. Yeah,
man, what happened to Larry?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, boy,
dude, Larry's decline is too much.
Are we sure zombies don't exist? Like, are we sure? 100%.
I mean, I don't even think that this is like the Larry King that we know. Like, this might be a different Larry King and a different Sean King. We might not even be talking about the same things at all.
It looks like Larry King's head is like photoshopped on Vern Troyer's body or something. Like he just doesn't have a neck anymore.
I think Sean King took it from him. Look at how long her neck is. She's got the Mike Glennon thing going.
He lost that. He didn't have the neck in the prenup, so she got that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they've clearly been abducted and replaced.
I just want to give a shout out to Gabe though for getting this up on the screen. I know I was, shitting on you behind the scenes, but you're doing good work, dude.
Oh man, I didn't want to be friends that quickly. I really wanted you to really dig into.
Well, let's just say if I don't get some full screen shots of my video cam throughout the night, he'll be back on the shit list. All right.
Oh boy.
There we go. Yeah. I didn't put on the moisturizer before the show for nothing, Gabe.
Yeah, there it is.
And sponsored open bar, sponsored by Ulta Beauty. You can get some of Peter Overzet's. Overzet? I don't know. I haven't ever even asked.
Yeah, in middle school,
it's always a different name. It's never even actually your name. It seems like Fraudzerzet and Zero RBZ and I don't know. So
yeah, no, and in middle school it was Overzit. So, but now that I'm moisturized, it's just Overzet.
Wow,
you showed them.
That's right.
Take your zits elsewhere. Well, I guess I'll mention that we are live indeed. Very interesting little intro that we've had for about 6.5 minutes. We can tell the time, right, J Mike? Yeah, you like telling the time now with our little live clock. It's so cute, so cute. All right, we're live. That's it. It's the intro. I'm here. I got lasagna to my right. I've got a beer to my left, and I've got 4 people in front of me that I'm very excited to see. One in particular, J Mike Jack. How are you?
Bro, happy to be here. Another Tuesday night, another Bachelor in Paradise. And boy, oh boy, to all the VIPs out there getting it in. And you guys don't necessarily know this because you may not have heard the previous episodes, but a couple Mondays ago, my wife was all over Bachelor in Paradise, and I sat down with her and I was just crying, laughing at all of the just misery and sadness and drama that filled such a beautiful place. And I've just continued to be hooked, and I continue to watch it with her. And for whatever reason, I can't separate myself from it now. So it's a 2-night event every week here, Gabe. So this helps launch me, gets me in the right mind frame, the right just headspace to be able to deliver quality content on the open bar. So shout out to Chris Harrison, shout out to Rose Ceremonies, shout out to Tears on the Beach, shout out to debauchery apparently, because it's just awful and it's filling my life with something right now. So I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
I cannot believe how invested you are into this.
Who am I? Who am I right now? I don't even know.
Has this become a Bachelor in Paradise recap show? Because I don't know. I might be in.
I mean,
I'm out on that.
All right. So to segue into our first guest, the Bachelor in Paradise professional, Izzy. Is it Elkafa?
It doesn't even matter. Izzy. It's like Prince. Just go, but just like Seal, Madonna, Izzy.
It's
Elkafas. Yeah, Elkafas. Yeah,
it
doesn't matter though. You can call me whatever you want.
I just, I mean,
it's better than Overzit though. I mean,
it's indeed true. We've got three names tonight that can be certainly thrown around in different ways, and none of them have a zit, but that's up for debate.
I'm pretty sure I'm not well versed in. Is it Dutch? Is that last name Dutch? I have no idea. Are you sure we can't call it like Overzee? Sounds so much better.
It sounds like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Are you really trying to upend thousands of years of my personal history and genealogy right now, Izzy? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
He's telling you to take your 23andMe and shove it.
Little Ancestry.com ad now. Go ahead, Gabe.
And again, in case you missed the first 5 minutes and you're getting in on the second 5 minutes, this open bar is sponsored by Ulta Beauty. Get your under-zit cream today, because you definitely don't want to be over-zitful or overzealous on the zits. Lost 3 viewers with that joke. Okay. Izzy, definitely nice to have you, my man. First time listener probably, and viewer and attendee. So just thanks, man.
Yeah, happy to be here. And just since we're live, I listen to every show religiously. I listen to them multiple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's the best.
You don't catch everything the first time through. I can see that happening.
That's why I've actually been telling my friends that the Open Bar Pod rewards repeat listens. So it is a prevailing opinion out there.
Gosh, this is a great marketing episode.
Man.
Really crushing this. Pete, welcome to the show, first of all. And do you have anything else that you could possibly say to up our listenership and whatnot?
Well, I feel like following J-Mike, I need to do like a recap of the 8th season of MTV Road Rules Challenge or something like that. Just to stay on theme, but I'm a little rusty on my my reality television. But guys, do you know what the greatest reality television of all is? The NFL, you know?
Hey.
And man, the good stuff just keeps coming, man. These holdouts, man, talk about drama. Talk about drama.
Indeed. We could talk about our favorite holdouts so far. You know, rank the holdouts from 1 to 5, and we could have a holdout draft. J. Mike, it's definitely getting to that point. What do you think?
Holdout draft. That's
I would hate to have the 4 pick. Not one you want to be on the turn for.
Anybody seen Rock Thomas? Anybody?
I just want my money. I'm a preseason darling, Rock Thomas, and I wants my money. Our last guest, a veteran, aside from these 2 rooks that we've got, Eitan, my friend, pop the hood. Tell me what you see.
Of course, man. Of course. Always. That's the only reason anybody listens to the podcast, just in case, like, you haven't heard that on every other show that I've been. Gabe Gearing is the only reason anybody listens to Dynasty Diagnostics. So shout out to Gabe for that. But yeah, like Pete said, with these holdouts, it's getting ridiculous. I don't know if it's drama to me or if it's just really, really intense, good comedy. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I want to see the world come down. I want to see the pillars fall. I want to see it all just come crashing down when Zeke holds out the entire season.
And he's
wow.
That's a great screen grab.
That's
I know. Wow.
Some people just like to watch the world burn and their screens freeze.
Kind of looks like he's about to shoot some dice, and then he's back.
Did you guys hear any of that? Not at all.
You left us on the cliff, man.
Perfect.
Take us back.
Perfect. Okay. One more time.
You were frozen. It was great.
That screen grab was like the perfect metaphor for like Tony Pollard hype. You know, he's like going through the preseason, and then Zeke's going to return, and Tony Pollard's like this, just frozen, irrelevant for the rest of the season.
Zeke who?
No, I mean, it's too perfect. It's too perfect. But we saw this a season ago. Like, this is no longer uncharted territory. We've just seen this happen. So in the case of Melvin Gordon, I think it's a certainty at that point. And when you switch it over to Zeke, I mean, I was just having this conversation with everybody before we started going live. Jerry Jones is not the guy you want to play with. Jerry Jones does not care. And I'm not sure how aware people are of that, even though by this point you definitely should be.
He would be the last person for me to believe in the 0 RB moniker or even the data behind it. It just seems so like, and then Jason Garrett, like Jerry Jones would be first. And I still think Jason Garrett's like, you know, looking for Zeke and texting him like, oh, I got a couple tacos back home. I'm roasting some brisket, Zeke. Would you like to come back home?
No, Gabe, if you're going to get Zeke back in the locker room, you have to do it with cereal. I think that's been well established after every period.
I don't know. Chick-fil-A. He had the Chick-fil-A bag. Chick-fil-A might work.
Okay.
What about that photo of Zeke at that Whataburger, dude, looking like he put on some pounds? I mean, that was concerning.
Yep. We need to dive into that now.
Yeah, I mean, we like our running backs, slimming down. We hear Ronald Jones, trying to bulk up in Tampa. We're like, no, dude. And then we see Zeke. He put on 150 pounds to be able to stand up to the rigors of the NFL season. I just don't know how it's going to work out.
Yep. You got to appreciate a state like Texas that is dedicated to making not all people, but athletes larger for sports.
That's right. Everything's bigger in Texas, even the running backs.
And Jake, and shout out to everybody in the live chat. Jake hit us, and I guess I should say the return of the king, if you will, the executive producer, quote unquote, of the Open Bar. Jake Anderson is in the building. Jake, good to see you, buddy. Hope everything is well at home.
Where are you guys seeing this?
The YouTube chat.
What?
Don't do that. Don't feed him the Gabe nonsense. Don't feed him his tomfoolery.
I don't know. I literally don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So in our group DM, Gabe gave us a join link and a share link. If you click on the share link, it actually opens up the YouTube page where it plays live.
Oh,
yes. And so there's a live chat that goes on YouTube that Gabe often says doesn't really exist, even though he'll pull comments and post them on the screen from the chat, like so. Yeah,
I don't know what.
So,
Jake
I see that now, but I have to pause that because now I hear it in both.
You got to like
both
mute
deals.
it.
Mute it. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Don't have to pause it. This is good.
All right. See,
producing
after all. Pete.
Wow.
I'm starting to put together how this whole operation works.
Okay.
Come on to you guys.
Really impressive stuff here.
Oh yeah. We work with a rather large budget, Pete, so I'm not sure you can get with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually gonna see if we could solicit some donations to get you guys $20 a month to get this StreamYard decal off the stream. I know you guys are rolling in it, but I thought I might be able to help out.
We actually just support StreamYard willingly. I mean,
yeah, might as well.
This is where you come in with StreamYard is actually a paid sponsor of the show. Thank you so much for having them on the program.
Yep. Yeah.
The Open Bar, truly powered by StreamYard. Shout out StreamYard.com. That is StreamYard.com. Before we get too far away from Jerry Jones and that nonsense, just real quick, and it doesn't have to be long answers, but quick. Who reports to their team first, Zeke or Melly Gordon?
Zeke.
Yes.
Zeke absolutely reports first.
What do you think, Izzy?
After this whole disrespect thing, I don't know. I would have said Zeke. I'm gonna change my answer just because everybody else is going Zeke. Let's go Melvin Gordon this time. Melvin Gordon's not getting paid. I mean, he's not getting paid 13. But I don't think after this whole Zeke thing, we have to remember too, Zeke's got plenty of time left on that contract. I'm gonna go Melvin Gordon. Final answer. Lock it in.
Wow.
The Zeke stuff just seems like they're just doing a dance. Like he doesn't want to practice. He wants a little attention. Melvin Gordon literally seems like he's sitting by the phone and he's going to do nothing until the Chargers call him and give him what he wants. And I don't think the Chargers are going to blink.
Well, here's the deal with Zeke though. Like they just paid Jalen. I think they got to go in order of like they got to get Dak paid first, and then you go to Zeke. I don't think you skip Dak for Zeke though. So there's a line. Melvin doesn't have a line. And I think Melvin is doing it the right way where he's staying quiet and he's just waiting for them to buckle.
It's not even just Dak and Zeke, though. It's Dak and then Cooper and then Zeke, really.
Well, I mean, at least the Cooper and Zeke are arguable.
Yeah. But, I mean, for me, it just seems like that would even be the list in terms of importance on that team. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for him because I just kind of in the same way that we believe the Chargers won't blink. Jerry Jones himself was disrespected. It's not only Zeke that felt disrespect in this. There was a video that came out today that was essentially Jerry Jones saying to the media that he has earned the right to joke with Zeke because he was getting shit for the comment that he made yesterday. He's pissed. He's not happy about the situation. I don't think he's always one to get the Cowboys in the headlines, but I don't think this is the type of press that he envisioned having going into a season that, looked like a lock for a really good season for the Cowboys.
Do you think the holdouts, let's just assume that Melvin and Zeke come back, are there holdouts and all this happening and Justin Jackson kind of having a bit of a preseason? Certainly Tony Pollard is flexing a bit, but are these guys now going to yeah the Tony Pollard stance for sure. Are we a little concerned about them just even bleeding into that workload just because of what they've shown and what they're able to do on the field? Is that a thing at all, or is it just once they get signed or extended, assuming that happens, do they just go back into that same role?
It seems like, at least with Tony Pollard, that he's earned a little bit more of that backfield than any of their other backups have ever been able to carve out. It seems like they're pretty excited about him, and based on kind of his college production out of the backfield, I think they're going to use him on third downs a decent bit. I think Justin Jackson probably goes to the bench, and then Eckler still serves as that complementary piece. I don't know. Anyone else disagree with that?
A little. I think it's a little disrespectful to Hot Rod Smith, because I thought he was pretty good.
I thought he was good too, but I just didn't think they didn't use him that much.
I think this is almost a listen. Pollard is a fine back. I'm sure of it. I just don't know enough about Pollard to say that he's going to. Here's the deal. If they pay Zeke the money that he wants, I don't think they're going to play Pollard. I think they might find a way to get them both on the field at the same time in some scenarios, but I can't see them spelling Zeke with Pollard. I can see him playing just as I can, maybe an 80-20 split, but you don't take Zeke off the field. And just like with Melvin Gordon, I agree with you. I don't think anything's going to change with how they've run their team, like with Eckler kind of being the change of pace. But if you pay Zeke the money that he wants, and then all of a sudden you're going 60-40 or 70-30 with Pollard, it seems like that would be bad business to pay Zeke and then have him only be on the field 70% of the time.
I don't think that, they're going to want to pull Zeke off the field, honestly, especially if they're going to be spending that kind of capital on Zeke. But, just looking at the numbers here, Zeke, amongst all running backs for the last 3 years since Zeke's been in the league, he averages the fewest net expected points per target at the running back position. That's concerning. Tony Pollard today might be a better receiver than Ezekiel Elliott is. And if that's the case, then, we're looking at a true, at least workload type split here. And that could be, something to watch. That could give Tony Pollard, I think, some value independent of Zeke, even if he comes back this season.
Yeah, I don't think these coaches aren't looking at analytics like that. Like, they're not breaking down the numbers and taking Zeke off the field because of that. I would be shocked if they looked at it and said, well, Zeke isn't that good on passing downs based on these numbers, so we got to throw Pollard out there. I think they're going to run Zeke to the ground until he does something like suspension worthy, like whether he's sexually harassing people like he always seems to be doing, or whether he just kind of goes AWOL. The dude looks like a straight lunatic, and you might as well run him to the ground before he goes off the deep end, because he's close. He's on the edge.
I'm the Zeke owner, and I have my team is loaded. I think I'm killing it. I'm coming to the Tony Pollard owner, and I'm offering, because I'm desperate, I'm offering you what is likely to be the latest of late seconds in 2020. Is that a snap accept for you guys?
Because I guess the discussion we're having is Tony Pollard's value just binary? If Zeke, then, or does he have some standalone juice where he could, catch some passes and then have a little more outs to relevance? I don't know if a late second's going to move the needle enough for me, considering the binary upside.
Because depending upon when you drafted, you probably didn't pay, you probably pay pennies for Pollard, or maybe you just scooped him up off of the trash after the draft. Go ahead, Izzy.
Yeah, I brought this up on the podcast, on our podcast just a few days ago, and I look at this and say, at worst, let's say Zeke comes back, you're still able to move Pollard for a third. So for me, I'd rather gamble on Zeke holding out, because the closer and closer we get to the NFL season, the more and more valuable Tony Pollard becomes. And if week 1 rolls around and Tony Pollard is the starting running back and Zeke is still holding out, he will fetch a late first. I've already seen him on Twitter go for a late first already. So I think we're getting closer and closer to that. I would much rather take the upside of getting that late first versus cashing out now and getting a late second, when even if Zeke comes back, I'm getting a third. So what's really the draft cap? What's really the equity gained by trading him now as opposed to just waiting? So I think it's absolutely a wait and see if you can get more in the next week or two. So I say hold.
I've already seen this happen in a few of my leagues. I've already seen Zeke traded, not even for a late first. It was likely a mid first based on the guy's roster. So, I mean, the hype is real. Preseason overreaction season is a real thing. We don't just say these things to, kind of be one of those people that's cliche. We say these things because they're happening. We see them happen season over season. And, I mean, just as kind of a segue here, Jacoby Myers and Preston Williams are kind of getting the same level of hype right now, even though I think that's different because of the man who will not be named on this podcast.
Go ahead and say it. Just say it, Eitan. Just
it's not
say
gonna be me. It's gotta have to be somebody else.
Izzy and Pete have not been here before. Just say the name. Say it.
What is Josh Gordon's impact on this fantasy football season? Izzy El-Gafas.
Say it one more time. You cut out there.
Say it for the people in the back. They need to hear you.
Yeah, the Tony Pollard freeze. I think you need it one more time. One more time.
I mean, I don't want to talk about Josh Gordon. You people can.
You cut out again.
Is this continuously happening?
You definitely cut out again.
I do think my earbuds and stuff aren't, because I missed everything that he just. What were you talking? You said he who shall not be named, and then I didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to say it again. It's not going to happen.
Wow.
Look, we have guests on the show, Eitan.
How rude.
And whatever connection issues we're having,
right?
That's neither here nor there. But the least you could do is repeat yourself for our guests, for the listeners, and especially in podcast form. I mean, these people are taking 2 hours out of their day to listen to this podcast, and you can't even repeat yourself.
I will say that I believe Albert Wilson will have more fantasy points this season than Josh Gordon will. I will say that much.
You're so wrong.
Can we get some action down on this?
I already got action.
You already got it down? Because I'd like to turn tonight into a money-making venture.
I don't see how he plays 6 games this season. I don't see it happening. I don't know.
In what way? He's already reinstated. He's not
okay. Is this the first time he's been reinstated? Are we really pretending like this is the first time that we've seen the story play out?
Is Albert Wilson going to play 6 games? Because I don't think that's played out very much.
I don't think that. I don't know. I don't think that we're going to get a return on any type of investment that was made since the news of Josh Gordon reinserting himself into the fantasy football. Just the ethos.
Well, get your money in. Get your money in right, Peter. Go ahead.
Can we do some sort of open bar bet? I mean, we do.
Yes.
J Mike records them. We put them somewhere. We hashtag them. I don't know where.
All right, I have a bet for you.
Yeah.
All right. So if if Albert Wilson outscores Josh Gordon this season, no caveats, no injury stuff, the loser has to do a 30-minute Periscope where they're just frozen like this and don't move for 30 minutes on your thing. And you can't like set it up or anything. You just have to write going live on Periscope and for 30 minutes like this. How are those stakes for you?
You know what?
30 minutes.
I'm not gonna do 30 minutes. I'll do like 3 minutes, but I will do it. I will do it because I'm serious.
3 minutes is probably a punishment.
I believe.
Honor.
Wow.
I believe that.
Wow. You have so much conviction that you're not willing to stay frozen for 4 minutes. That's how much conviction you have on this take.
You guys are acting like I'm talking about the talent here. I'm talking about the points per game here. I'm talking about anything that we can predict here. It's not the case. I've seen this story play out before, and I just don't understand how people don't get burned again. It's already happened.
Can you quickly tell me the story about Albert Wilson? Because I think I've missed it.
Albert Wilson was a player I picked out to just show how little I believe in Josh Gordon.
Can we go back to the part where Izzy said that you being frozen for 3 minutes would be an honor, not a punishment? Can we go back to that real fast?
Thank you.
Man.
Thank you for that.
Do we have a bet? First of all, let's make lock that in.
That's what I want to clarify.
We get to 5 minutes.
Eitan,
You're only going to give me 3 minutes. Give me 10. 3 isn't funny. 10 at least we're inching up into funny territory.
Right, slowly, minute by minute, right?
The one that has to do it. It might be Peter that has to do it.
Exactly. I'm willing to do 30. You don't think this would actually be a win to be able to have an excuse to do that level of performance art? I mean, I'm begging for Albert Wilson to outscore Josh Gordon at this point.
I don't see this happening with Gordon this year.
Okay, 10 minutes or not, Eitan? You're ducking here.
Hey, I've said 3 minutes. I've already laid it out there. You guys keep trying to change this. Like I've said what I'm willing to put down.
Wow.
Eitan.
I don't have that much conviction. I don't have 30 minutes of conviction.
This is like you going up to the $5 blackjack table at the Excalibur and being like, "Can I play for $1?" And they're like, "Dude, it's $5." They're like, "No, man, I'm out. If I can't play $1 a hand, I'm out."
Conviction on this dealer. So I'm gonna only play for $1.
Oh man. Can we move on to not Josh Gordon? Is that a thing we can do on this podcast?
I'll take your deal for 3 if that's all you're gonna get. Do we have a handshake deal for 3 minute frozen Periscope?
We have an open bar handshake deal for 3 minutes on Periscope.
Okay.
Yes.
Let the record show that it's weak, but that's fine.
This is simply your privilege, young man.
Here we go. I'll give you 3-1 odds on this bet, so I'll do 9 minutes if Albert Wilson outscores Josh Gordon.
Perfect.
That's weak.
Even better.
That was my daughter giving you that's weak.
Yep.
Timing was perfect.
That sounded.
By the way, for context, people, if you haven't listened to the FF Dynasty Trades podcast, you definitely should. On that podcast, before Josh Gordon was reinstated, myself and Izzy, had some words about what Josh Gordon's impact would be this season. So things have changed. I will say that much. Information has changed.
Eitan, I need to give you. First of all, we've got young Elkafaz in the building with us. Hello, ma'am. I know she probably can't hear me, but
you can't hear no.
Yes.
Can you say hi to everybody at the open bar?
Hi, everybody, open bar.
Good job.
Hi.
Yes, that is definitely going into the intro.
That's starting every single pod from here on out. Royalty checks in the mail, young lady.
Yeah,
we're starting that college fund right now.
I hope your college takes StreamYard logos.
Oh God.
Oh, Eitan, I just need you to know that the pod. The live chat is next level roasting you right now. I just need you
Can this happen? I'm watching the world burn right now. I'm watching it happen in real time. So, look.
You need to change your profile image to the
Frozen Aton.
See,
Let's
that
just
I
get the
will
clock
do.
rolling
That I
on that
will
bet
do.
now.
There we go.
They
You
said
probably only do it for 30 minutes though. Abby change.
Chris Allen. Shout out to Chris from the Owner's Manual Group. He said Aton got to change his handle to Fuego_Aton now.
I mean,
Willis,
it's already dropped off of Frank, right? So it's got to go somewhere.
yes, it's got to
So
go
I guess
somewhere.
just-
Willis said, damn, that's a hot hit take. Gordon will definitely outscore Wilson. As I continue down here, Commissioner McGriff, he says Preston Williams greater than Albert Wilson. That's a fun one.
Now, see, now that one,
Hey.
I don't know about that one. That one hurts my soul a little bit. I don't know if I agree right there.
I kind of want to come back to that, but not to get too far down here. The very next comment in the chat, Aton, in case you didn't see, from our own Aaron from Maine, hashtag open bar bet backouts needs to be a thing. I like that one a lot.
I love it. I do.
Commissioner McGriff came back through with another one. He says flame_Throsia_Mosey.
Is this just gonna be a roast Aton podcast? Is that what you guys have like finagled me on to today?
Well, if you're not going to do the 30 minutes of being frozen, then we got to get you another way.
Yeah. I think your handle needs to be like freezing cold takes, Mosier, but like the freezing is like literally they're so cold that they go out and then they just pause. It's just Albert Wilson.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Last one here. I don't want to bury you too deep, Aton. Again, Deltron himself, Commissioner McGriff. He says that the loser has to wear Stompy's singlet. Everyone has seen
that's disrespectful. That's a sentence worse than death, people. Don't wish that upon anybody.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good look, but whatever.
There's some places I haven't moisturized, so.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about our sponsor for tonight's show. It is Ulta Beauty. If you want your groin to be ultimately removed of zits, go ahead and buy yourself the moisturizer from our very own Pete Overzit. You're not going to have them down there. I'll tell you what, Bucko.
Mm-mm.
It'll come in handy next time I win the Scott Fish Bowl and have to defend my crown with a wrestling promo.
There we go. It all circles back.
Go ahead, Gabe.
No, you certainly had better to say than me, for sure.
I don't think that I do. I just wanted to go back real quick before we got too far away from Miami receivers because that's all the rage right now. Preston Williams. Again, a guy that in your dynasty leagues you probably scooped up earlier for 4th, 5th, undrafted, probably even. There's been so much hype between all these late round guys this year. Your Keyshawn Johnson in camp, your Preston Williams, your Terry McLaurin. Are any of those guys, those types, like super late round flyer darts types that you are really hopeful for in year one?
They got to get on the field first. I mean, it just seemed that they are still kind of buried on depth charts and just even the history of rookie wide receivers, not super positive. I mean, people talk about N'Keal Harry having a rough first year already, and he was the first one off the board in a lot of drafts. So I think it's certainly a time to sell those types of guys unless you just feel something. But man,
I did see I think it was a Scott Barrett tweet today that Preston Williams had played like 91% of the snaps with the first team offense so far in preseason, which at least checks that box that you're referencing of you need to get on the field. If he is getting those snaps with the first team, that seems like a good start.
Who did that, Pete?
Preston,
gotcha.
But yeah, I'm of two minds about it too, because I want to believe, but then the one dynasty league I have him, I started sending some offers out today to anyone in my league that I thought might be hawking fantasy Twitter all day and might be, sending him out for I think I sent an offer for Duke Johnson for him, seeing if I I could get someone really excited about it, but no one biting yet.
I'd hold on to Preston for that.
Yeah, I should also say in this league, my my RB2 right now is TJ Yeldon. So trying to patch that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was actually going to bring up the same tweet. If we're seeing that level of performance, or at least just that level of involvement from Preston Williams this early, it definitely does bode well for his future. But I think it's a quarterback issue. I think if we see a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's just going to balls to the wall type thing, and just throw it deep every play, then yeah, I think Preston Williams can be useful. Potentially even in his first year, but if that's not the case, if it's Josh Rosen at quarterback, then I do think that the shorter targets are going to be preferred in that offense. That's where I would see Albert Wilson come in if he is a thing this year.
I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming.
I would also say that Mike Gesicki could see a lot of that work if he's on the field in those situations. So I do think that it has a lot to do with who we think the quarterback is going to be for that team this year.
Eitan, you're my guy, but that was all wrong, all of it.
Here we go.
We got to make another. We got to make another 3-minute bet. Now you're up to 6 minutes here. I actually think. I mean,
I'll get him up to 30 eventually.
From the preseason, from what we've seen, I think theoretically you're right, but from what we've seen from the preseason is Rosen loves himself some Preston Williams. So I actually don't hate the idea. I love Rosen, so that just might be me just jocking my guy, but I don't see why, and this kind of goes to Peter's comment, I don't see why we would trade Preston Williams right now for Duke Johnson, because we got to look at the risk reward of holding on to him. If our reward is only Duke Johnson, I'd rather just take the risk of him being nothing. I want higher upside than that, and I love Preston Williams. I think he'll be a good player. I mean, there's two receivers that I have 40% or more market share from this rookie class, and it's Kelvin Harmon and Preston Williams. Because somebody had mentioned it in the chat. I don't like drafting rookie wide receivers early in the draft, so definitely I'm fading them in the first round. But I try to scoop up as many as I can in the third and fourth round. So I actually like Preston Williams because he is talented, and the only reason he was undrafted is the off the field stuff. So he's a day two guy without that. So the talent is definitely there. Just you got to hope Rosen or Fitzpatrick like him enough to get him touches, and it's not going to be Albert Wilson because he's only in 2 games.
I'm just looking like for like here, and Preston Williams and Devontae Parker play the same position, so they just extended Devontae Parker because Devontae Parker is going to start in that instance. You would think because they just extended Devontae Parker. He obviously has the seniority with that team. I mean, I don't see how he doesn't have more involvement than, at least initially, than a guy like Preston Williams. Now, if by week 8 this changes and this swaps and this flips, then yeah, you can see some value there. But I just think initially, position by position, I'm not sure if he's a starter just yet.
If you would have came up to me and said, if anybody comes up to me and says, hey, you have this high upside player, and all he has to do is surpass Devontae Parker, you're cashing in that ticket 9 out of 10 times.
You're saying a UDFA who is getting some preseason buzz is a high.
It's a lottery ticket.
You're saying that he's a high performance player. All this, we're still dabbling in things we don't know anything about.
It's all relative. He doesn't have to be high performance. He just needs to be higher performance than the low performance Devontae Parker.
I'm just saying, you have no idea what's happening from just a few preseason practices and a few preseason games, what a guy really is.
Can you dunk a basketball?
What?
Can you dunk a basketball on a regulation hoop?
I don't see what that has to do with this conversation.
Just answer the question. Can you or can you not?
I play soccer and football. I don't play basketball.
So you cannot. Now, however, if I rolled out a little taeks basketball hoop, can you now dunk a basketball? The answer is yes, you can. That's all he needs to do. He just needs to be able to dunk a basketball in a little taeks hoop. I'm not asking him to do a 360. Devontae Parker is the little taeks hoop, and I think he can do it. Preston Williams, wide receiver 1. Lock it in.
Ooh. I love how I'm the Fuego takes guy from this. After that,
No, I mean,
that's what we get. Okay.
yeah, that was just for fun.
Yeah.
It has now made its way over.
Okay. So the name lives on. We're gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yes, Fuego Izzy.
All right, Izzy, who do you got? Josh Gordon or Preston Williams this season?
That's Josh Gordon. I like Preston Williams. I mean, I like Preston Williams enough for him to be on my dynasty teams, and I'm not trading him for Duke Johnson, for instance.
I agree with most of what you said. I think I'm just way higher on Duke Johnson than you
likely.
are.
Yeah, likely.
Yeah, I think
So,
he
like,
has just massive upside in this offense.
Yeah. So, question for you then: like, what would you trade in dynasty picks or in value for Duke Johnson just in picks?
I guess there's the question of what it would take to get him versus what I'd actually be, ultimately willing to give up. But I would be willing to give up like late first, early second.
Wow, that is hot. Not fire, but it's hot.
I mean, to use your analogy here, Lamar Miller is the Devontae Parker, and the Preston Williams analogy. All Duke has to do is dunk on the little hoop in one of the most explosive pass offenses in the league. I think he's gonna be really good.
That's fair.
How much are you factoring in the Kiki Kuti injury, the ankle injury, into your assessment of what Duke Johnson could be this year?
I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? Because everyone is envisioning that underneath stuff. I think he can still have a role even if Kiki's back. But yeah, I don't think it hurts at all.
The chat was lit up something funny. Can we go back to the Duke Johnson discussion real quick? Just because I think I'm pretty excited for Duke. Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of waned, and I don't want to go back to Albert Wilson ever again. Sorry, Aton. I'm just kidding.
See, this is why I need Stompy in the chat. He'd know. Him and Matt Harmon would get my back.
He would defend your honor, but he is alas. Well, he also has a bet out there too about Albert Wilson, I thought. So you guys just might be Dino Diagnostics just paying up all sorts of nonsense for Albert Wilson's sins. With Duke Johnson, is there any chance he's the feature guy next season? Is that a bridge too far to be able to think about that?
I think there's every chance he's the featured back next season because he still has years on his contract. Obviously, the 2020 class is going to be something ridiculous, but I don't necessarily think that that's going to mean that he's not going to see a role in that offense. They paid a third-round pick. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, you're essentially negotiating with a child, a GM negotiating with a team who doesn't have a GM, and that's what actually took place during this negotiation. So I think that third-round pick was obviously a steal. But they have time on his contract. Duke Johnson, by every efficiency metric, is a back that you'd like to see there more often. And I mean, this just seems like a marriage that could work well with the team that probably wants to get the ball out of Deshaun Watson's hand as soon as possible because he's just going to be destroyed by defensive lines every single snap if that's not the case.
He can't be the featured guy. I mean, has he even had a season where he's had 100 carries in a season? So he can't necessarily. I mean,
has Damian Williams has a season where he's had 100 carries in a season?
He sucks too. I mean, he sucks as a
featured
running back too. So I agree with you.
I'm just saying that you can definitely be a featured back. You just have to be given that role. And this is a situation where that could happen.
But I don't know. I'm just saying if we're actually playing the odds, like I don't know how J Mike formed the question. But I feel like he formed as what would you, as a betting man, would you expect him to get the job next year? Like, what would you think about that, Aton? Do you put it at above or below 50%?
Yeah, my answer was he could be. Whether or not I'm expecting that to happen, I mean, the 2020 class is supposed to be like world ending. So if that's the case, then I mean, you would expect that Houston drafts a running back, but in the event that they don't draft a running back in the top 3 rounds or so, this could be a Duke Johnson backfield because he's already signed.
Well, and we're also talking like what types of running backs, right? Like if they get rid of, Lamar and they draft a running back, it'll probably be a bruiser, right? For the goal line stuff. So then the question is, can he have like the good end of a 60-40 type split where he's also getting all the receiving work? You know, I'm not forecasting him becoming like a top 2, you know, pick, but I think he could, you know, carve out, you know, say what, maybe a little like Eckler plus type thing.
He could be a 6th round pick next year.
Duke Johnson. A 6th round pick?
He could be a 6th round pick next year. Duke Johnson.
Startup. Yeah. I just find it interesting that we've kind of and I know that a couple people have talked about it in pods over the last couple of weeks. And the first thing that I thought about when Duke was traded was it wasn't that long ago when he gave us an RB1 season in PPR leagues. Like, I don't know what it looked like on a week-to-week basis, but he ended the year, I'm pretty sure, top 12 with like 80 or 90 some odd rushes, 80 or 90 some odd catches, and enough production to give you an RB1 season, which was kind of wild to think about in itself on a Browns team that was horrendous, right? So I just like to think, I'd like to think maybe he's in the vein or in the cut of a Tariq Cohen, where you can use him use him in a manner that's rather versatile, to be able to leverage his skills, to be able to open up that offense and do something with Watson that you haven't been able to do previously, which is get the ball to the running back in space for easy completions when your offensive line has been letting Watson get pounded for 2 years now. So I find Duke Johnson to be an enigma in fantasy, but I think that the upside is tantalizing enough to where if you can pry him away from someone for a 2022nd, I like that. I think that that's rather interesting proposition to see what could be.
I will say the Texans have some of the most cap space in the entire league coming up next season. So, I mean, we have no idea what that team's really going to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're at best hoping for him to be James White. Yep. Where he's getting just a shit ton. Can I swear on this thing? I apologize. Can you
go for it?
Out? Just a shit ton of receptions and targets, but I don't see him eclipsing maybe 100 to 120 carries in a season. So you could see him sneaking in like a Deion Lewis type season where he gets a lot more carries than he necessarily should, but I don't think that he'll sustain any sort of carry production long term. I think he's actually, without looking at the stats, this might be ridiculously wrong, but has he had more targets than carries his entire career? Like in terms of every single year?
That. Yeah.
I'm gonna look.
Like, has every season been more targets than actual carries?
And another thing that I'm thinking about too is the Texans offense looked really different last year when all their receivers were healthy. Like they were going kind of total spread, up tempo, scorched earth stuff. Is it true, J Mike? More targets?
In 4 seasons, Duke Johnson rushing attempts 299, targets 303.
Oh, there you go. And has he had a season where he's had more rushes than targets? Probably one of those had to have been.
His first season he had 104 rushes. Every season he's had more rushes except for last season where he had more targets. Well, no, I'm sorry. 2017, he had more targets as well too. Yeah, I was looking at receptions. My bad. So only his rookie season he had more rushes. Every other season he's had more targets.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if he gets those targets and he's getting 120 targets or 100 targets, that's going to be a high-end RB2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, cash that check.
To be fair, on Pro Football Reference, Duke Johnson's stats do list receiving second to rushing, whereas on James White's page, receiving is first.
Interesting.
And rushing is second.
How disrespectful. Disrespectful.
Right.
Deltron in the chat, and just kind of this run of running backs who are kind of afterthoughts, who ended up being RB1s for primarily their receiving work. To your point, Izzy, obviously Duke in 2017 was top 12. He's got Chris Thompson in 2018, top 12. James White, obviously leading the Patriots in receiving last season, top 12 as well. So, and obviously we know Tariq Cohen was really good in 2019 as well too. So, Yeah, this could be fun. I think this could be fun. I'm
you
just
can
excited to see him
essentially
in that
pick
offense.
I think-
like one a
I think the-
year, though. I mean, it just
There.
like RB2, sure, but that's more of like a flex piece that you can hopefully throw in on a matchup type of thing just to hold on your roster. It's certainly not someone that you want to rely on, but I think you can.
But that's worth a second, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You
like,
said
what are you
what is it?
paying for Duke?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, as much as I like Duke, say if the guy had Jalen Richard and Duke Johnson, he's like, Duke Johnson's going to cost you a late first, or Jalen Richard you can have for a mid third. I'm giving up the mid third for Jalen Richard and hoping for 85% of that receiving production there, because I think, to your guys' point, like that the upside is capped, whereas that receiving upside is pretty baked in for some of those guys. I don't know if there's a huge difference between the receiving workloads.
If it's a late first, I'm not doing it. But if we're talking about like a second round pick versus a third round pick, just in terms of what you're going to have to spend on either of those guys, I think you still have to go with Duke just because of the offense. Like, I don't know what to expect from the Oakland Raiders offense this season. Like, it can be, I think the realistic place that Oakland can finish at a ceiling is a top 10 offense. I think it's a lot more realistic to think that they'll finish below average. And if that's the case, then we're just not going to have these long drives. We're not going to have all the red zone action that potentially Duke Johnson could have in Houston. We kind of just assume that offense is going to be good because they've been good for the past few years. Whereas, I mean, Antonio Brown's a head case. We don't know when he's going to play games. If he plays games, we don't know how well that's going to mesh with Derek Carr, because his ADOT is one thing and Derek Carr's is a complete another. Like, I think when you put in all the factors around the running back, I think that paying a second for Duke would be a better investment than paying a third for Jalen Richard, because you at least have an idea that you're going to get some opportunities in plus situations with Duke Johnson. You might not necessarily see that in Oakland with Jalen Richard, especially with the running back who was brought in there to be the third down back, in Josh Jacobs.
Well, you have to look at it this way too. On the other side of the coin, Eitan, all your concerns about the Raiders is good for Jalen Richard. So if you think that they're going to be bad and they're going to be playing catch up, that's good for Jalen Richard. If you think Antonio Brown could go AWOL at any moment, that's going to be good for Jalen Richard. So, I mean, all of those negative things that could happen to the Raiders can only be good for Jalen Richard moving forward. So there definitely has some. Jalen does have some, and I don't even think you need to pay a third for Jalen Richard. I bet you can get him for a fourth. And that, to me, that's free money essentially, because if anything negative does happen to the Raiders, his odds of actually producing increase substantially. And we don't even know if Josh Jacobs is any good.
And here's a crazy stat along those same lines of how those receiving backs get their fantasy points. Last year, Richard, he finished his RB 29 and he only had 55 rushing attempts. And now he's going off the board at RB 64. So, I mean, yeah. And like, as he says, we don't even know if Josh Jacobs is good. He caught 55 total passes over 3 years in college. So that part of his workload seems pretty safe. And then there's a lot of outs for more too.
Are there more guys that we could discuss here that I kind of asked this on Twitter just a second ago to quote tweet our show. Come watch live the open bar Tuesdays, 9:30 Eastern. I tweeted out absurdly a lot over the course of 2 hours. Is there a guy that you think can be a running back one or top 12 running back, whatever, that has kind of the similar stat line that we've been talking, more targets than rushing attempts? And I think within, plus 10 or so, 15, whatever, because I'm sure, Cohen, I don't think had that line necessarily, but we can kind of put him in there. Duke Johnson, our Danny Woodheads, whatever, those kind of guys. What can we do? Are there other guys besides Jalen Richard?
I think Austin Eckler can do that this year. I mean, I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility at all. Especially if Melvin Gordon holds out, then you're going to have Justin Jackson kind of rotate in to get carries on the ground. I think that there's just a lot of opportunity in that backfield, and we've already seen Phillip Rivers do it with, as you mentioned before, Danny Woodhead. So, I mean, if there's anybody else who could do that, I think that's definitely the guy to look at.
The name that comes to mind for me is Naheem Hines.
Hey,
he's another guy like Richard. He finished as RB 29 last year, or 28, one ahead of Richard. And who knows with all this luck stuff? I mean, it sounds like if he doesn't have the full arm strength, it could be a lot more dink and dunk, short area of the field stuff. And then if they're down more, he's going to be the guy on the field. It's not going to be Mac when they're trailing. He's already shown that he can be a big factor out of the backfield. I could see him being one of those guys.
Is there any fear you have of Marlon Mack becoming the 3-down back that guys like Evan Silva are saying he's doing this year?
Yeah, I mean, Evan Silva's full of shit, man. What has that guy ever done?
what does he know? Good grief.
No, but truthfully, I don't really see that happening. I think Marlon Mack is going to be very game script dependent. And if the Colts are smashing, he's going to be awesome. And if they're losing, he's not going to be on the field.
Earlier, Jake Anderson made the comment about Naheem Hines, or excuse me, I guess Tony Pollard looking like Naheem Hines 2.0. And it's so funny. As you asked a question, Gabe, we got several answers in the chat. Matt Williams, 2 sevens. What's up, Matt? Matt says Chris Thompson, who you probably can play the pennies for to get if you're interested there. Matt Foreman, friend of the pod. What's up, Matt? He says Ty Montgomery. And one of the guys that I thought was really interesting in terms of not having to pay much for, and who might also be forgotten about to some degree. What about Gio Bernard? Could you pay pennies for Gio Bernard? Because when I look in the trade calculator, shout out Izzy Aton for the brand there. Duke Johnson's on there going for about 4.5 points there in your 12-team PPR league. And so that basically lands somewhere between a second, 2020 mid-second and 2020 late second. And then you've got Jalen Richard at 1.3, who's going for a late third, which is at a 1.5. So I'm just trying to figure out who are the guys you can pay pennies on to be able to scoop up in that type of role. I think Gio is one of those guys who could be really interesting for you.
I think, I like Gio as an option. I mean, Mixon has I try to avoid. So I love Gio. I've always loved Gio, but when we're looking at guys that could spell these players, you try to find the weakest running backs in the league. Mixon profiles as a bell cow, and he can
good at everything.
He's good at everything. So it's difficult for Gio to carve out a consistent role. Is he a good satellite back? Absolutely. I think he's very good at that. He's just stuck in the wrong place. So places that I try to go after are the places that, I mean, a lot of the guys have been mentioned. Matt Breida's a target that I'd have in all my leagues, just because he can do it all. And he could be a guy that not only helps you in PPR setting, but he could actually be a guy, and we saw it last year, that gets you production on the ground as well. He just has a tough time staying healthy. So if they use him sparsely and they maximize his potential in short, in small doses, I think he could have really good standalone value, and especially at the cost that he's going behind Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon and ADP. So you're getting I think personally the best running back in San Francisco at the third highest price.
So we're just cheating with the whole, more targets than rushing attempts here, because I think Matt Breida is going to see decent work on the ground here.
He might, but right now you look at who's in front of him. I think he starts out the season getting more touches in the air. No, I mean, based on last year, you're right.
I think they're just both going to split time. We saw that in the last preseason game. I think it was 5 snaps with the first team to 6, something in that range. So if these guys are just going to go 50-50, then I think both of them are going to be involved in both phases of the game on a game-to-game basis.
Yep. That'd be huge. And that even, there's more of a reason then to be scooping up Breda in your dynasty.
Absolutely.
Leagues.
Absolutely. He's somebody you want right now.
Yeah, because it's interesting when you think about like when the Shanahan offense that had Freeman and Tevin Coleman, you know what? Freeman was like a second or third round pick, and Coleman was going 6th or 7th round. And now now you have Coleman and Breida as the only guys in the Shanahan backfield, and Coleman's going 6th or 7th, and Breida's going like 9th or 10th. So it seems like there's a situation to exploit there, and Breida is definitely the one to exploit. And we don't even know if, Tevin Coleman's for sure going to be that lead guy. Like there's still a chance that Breida, I don't know. I think there's equal chance that Breida even takes a larger role than people think.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And one other name that I really like, and it's kind of a long shot and he's cheap, is Raquel Armstead. He's actually my most owned dynasty player. And the reason why I like him is he just needs to leapfrog Alfred Blue and Thomas Rawls to be the change of pace back behind Leonard Fournette. And most people's concern with Leonard Fournette is he's not good in the receiving game. So, and he's injury prone. So you might kind of back your way into a starting running back for dirt cheap in dynasty leagues with Raquel Armstead. I mean, he's got some really nice upside as being not only Fournette's handcuff, but maybe spelling him on third downs as well.
The one difference between...
I mean, that's it if he wins that role. I mean, he's not guaranteed to win that role.
And that's where I was going with that. Like, Leonard Fournette has been shown to be a good pass catcher in practices. He was a decent pass catcher. I mean, for what it's worth in LSU, who doesn't pass the ball at all, but he was a decent pass catcher in LSU. He's shown that he can be a 3-down back. Now, whether or not he gets hurt, that's an entirely different story. That could definitely happen. But, I mean, if he's on the field, I don't see how Raquel Armstead has any value while Leonard Fournette plays. Somebody like Tony Pollard, for example, could have some value while Zeke plays. But going back to the Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman thing that we were talking about before, San Francisco last year had the 10th best offensive line per adjusted line yards, just behind the Baltimore Ravens. This isn't even like a coach thing. We've seen this happen consistently with these types of offenses that use that zone running game, and we've seen that. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Raheem Mostert, if it's Wilson. It doesn't matter who's behind that offensive line. So I really do think that you're just going to be a lot of value in that backfield, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo continues to do Jimmy Garoppolo things. You might be forced to run the ball a little bit more than you might want to, just to make sure that you're not turning the ball over.
That's another good suggestion by Peter Howard there for Jalen Samuels. Because that's kind of like the Marlon Mack Hines thing. Like, we're working under the assumption that Connor's going to be the bell cow, but if he's not, then Samuels could probably get there.
It feels like Samuel's price hasn't really caught up to the possibility of what he could be. Like, just like you just said, Pete, we watched him be, we watched him perform admirably, I think, last season when he got his opportunity. But there hasn't really been this overwhelming Twitter support. And I know, Izzy, you fight the likes of Twitter groupthink very much from the trade wars and whatnot. But I really find Samuels to be someone that people aren't, he's not particularly valuable. Like I have him on the team in Dynasty, and people really aren't up to trying to really pay to get Samuels for what he could be. So I think that's definitely a good call out.
I'd like to point out to Jake here that this is the wrong running back that could possibly be a running back 1 on the Ravens. His name is Kenneth Dixon.
Stop. Why did you even? Dang it.
You guys don't have a choice. This has to be the If I Go Take 5 now.
I trust producer Gabe will pull this clip when Dixon gets released in like 2 days.
Amen. Please.
And I actually like Dixon, but he's not making the team.
Have we not talked enough about Gus Edwards, though? I mean, everyone is kind of on the Mark Ingram train, saying if they're going to run like crazy, then it's going to be all Ingram. And, of course, we'll have the rookie Hill kind of spelling him. But, I mean, does Gus Edwards entirely go away in this offense? And, I mean, if Mark Ingram gets nicked up at all, What happens then?
Commissioner McGriff throws out the name Olesen, however we pronounce his name, and one of the backups in Atlanta, which is a mighty crowded backfield at the moment behind Freeman, with Edo Smith, Brian Hill, and Quadri, however you say that. No disrespect to the Olesen family.
Yeah, I don't think I think Hill and Ito will get more of a role than Olsen, especially in year one. So I think he's got a pretty high ladder to climb, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's really interesting to watch him in the preseason, though. If he gets, he's had a couple very wide open holes to run through, and he's very much like a freight train. And I think it's going to be really fun if in the season he ever gets that kind of space to run and he just destroys an NFL DB. It will be one of the more pleasurable experiences of my life to watch him just bury someone who thinks that they actually want to try to tackle him. He is a large man.
You're thirsty, J Mike.
Hey, real quick, doesn't
Aton
look like Marshawn Lynch a little bit with that angle right
my
there?
God, I was totally I didn't want to say it, but I was like, holy shit.
We've come a long way from the Tony Pollard days.
We might need that freeze instead for the 3-minute bet.
We just get some Skittles. We'll be ready to roll.
Gosh,
I need the full hair extensions too, though. So I gotta go all out if I'm gonna do this.
that's true. Wow. I'm pretty sure y'all named every single running back in the NFL that is kind of a running back 2 on their own team or possibly buried on their depth chart. I enjoyed all the names. I'm glad you all know NFL players. That's cool, guys. But
when you have 32 people on a podcast, you can get 32 different answers. So
good point. The chat certainly had some suggestions.
This wouldn't be complete without me mentioning Benny Snell. That's all. Thank you.
Think that's appropriate.
Yes.
You didn't even get the hashtag.
Listen, if you can bring up Kenneth Dixon, then I can definitely bring up Benny Snell.
Can you bring up Benny Snell 3 years later?
You know what? I don't like your tone right now. I really don't like your tone.
No. How did I slip up? What did I say?
There you go.
No.
You acknowledge that the chat existed yet again. I think it's because on this new platform, you've got a lot going on, a lot you're trying to manage. You try to make the views cute and bring up the fancy stuff, and you post things, and you forget that, you know what? Sometimes we just got to get back to being simple old us. No big deal. You know what I'm saying? Just back to the grind, the open bar days, the gritty days, the days where we struggled to have anyone come on with us because people really didn't want to fool with our foolishness, which is kind of like now, actually, that I think about it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right.
But with that said, no, I think that I think you've got a lot on your plate, and I think that Kenneth Dixon, I think the end is coming rather soon for him, and you're really upset about it. So, I think that's where we are now, Gabe. It's sad. Sad but true.
I just don't think he
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you.
got his true opportunity. You don't.
Remember when, I think the league was ready for Kenneth Dixon to be a thing, and didn't he get busted for some sort of drug or something? Didn't something happen with that?
I mean, yeah.
You gotta bring up Poach.
But who knows? Could have been a Golden Tate situation, just trying to start a family.
Yeah, but was it a Golden Tate situation 4 times? Like that's kind of where we're at with Kenneth Dixon now.
He's got bad knees.
Jake, go ahead, Izzy.
I just read in the chat. I think Jake Anderson is saying that Reichwell isn't a pass catcher, and he wasn't in college. But what I've been reading in the last handful of weeks is that they've been working on the pass catching for him. And John DeFilippo actually targets his running backs quite a bit out of the backfield. So if they're out there, they're going to catch passes. So
I mean, but they were also working on Jordan Howard catching passes last season. Like that was a real thing. That was a real story.
Jordan Howard, we don't know if Armstead because even in college at Temple, he was lined up in the slot quite a bit. And was he targeted a bunch? No, but you wouldn't throw him out in the slot if he was completely worthless, right? So, and we don't know the players and what they're capable of doing, just because a lot of offensive systems in college, they didn't utilize the running back, even if you have a really good pass catcher in the backfield. So a lot of these are still unknown. So we can't just say, well, Armstead didn't catch. I mean, he only caught like 30 passes in college, so he's not going to catch them in the NFL. We don't know. I think it's still TBD.
Well,
I mean, did Zeke catch a ton of passes in college?
But the other thing to support your point, Izzy, too, is they don't have anyone on the roster who is like that defined pass catching guy that is going to steal it. Anyways, you know, if it's Fournette out there, he's going to probably be catching the passes, and then it could. If Armstead's out there, he's probably going to be the one. It seems like they're just going to have a bell cow who's ever out there. And there's lots of risk around Fournette staying healthy and all of his off the field issues too. So yeah, Armstead was super cheap in rookie drafts.
Yeah, when Alfred Blue is your best pass catcher, I think you don't have pass catchers.
Yeah.
Jake Anderson wants to know in the chat, you guys watched the 90s on Netflix? The music of the 90s was pretty damn legendary.
This a Netflix recap podcast now, Jake? What
Apparently,
yeah.
What are you doing, I don't know. I'm just curious what it's about. I don't know.
Right. Well, Jake, tell us. We'll wait here.
No, we won't.
Live on YouTube, and you will explain. J Mike, this is what you want.
No, it's not. The last thing that I do want real quick before we completely ditch the running backs and get ready to kick rocks here shortly. Jake said somebody has to catch passes in Philadelphia. Again, we don't have to belabor this. I'm just looking for quick answers. Is Miles Sanders the bell cow that everyone hopes that he will be? Yes or no?
No, I think in year one, I think it's going to be Jordan Howard getting most of the work on early downs, and Miles Sanders being their primary satellite back.
My fear with Miles Sanders is I see a lot of low value carries from Miles Sanders. I see a lot of kind of not really in the red zone, but that range before the red zone carries from Miles Sanders, and that's not going to be very useful for him. I think on the goal line, it's going to be Jordan Howard. I think if there's a guy to catch passes in that backfield, it's going to be Miles Sanders, but he's going to have to do it by receiving work and by receiving volume. He's not going to be able to do it by number of touchdowns in his first season.
Yeah, I guess I'll hedge in both ways. And like right now he's being drafted as if he's going to be a contributor right out of the gate. You know, I can see him paying off that, you know, 5th round price tag, maybe like week 9 and on, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pay it off early. I like him, but it's getting really expensive. It
is. And the way I look at Miles Sanders is that I think he's got a pretty good floor with Jordan Howard being pretty inefficient as a pass catcher. So he definitely has a role starting in week 1. And I think he has league winning potential if Jordan Howard gets hurt. And I think we forget Jordan Howard had a tough time staying healthy in college. So I don't hate him going. I mean, the 5th round's a little steep, but I love him in the 6th. If you can get him in the 6th round, I think that's a money spot for him.
And it probably depends on your running back situation a little bit. You know, if you can afford that right away, if you're starting off early on running back, then you can certainly take that stab and then have the potential of, you know, 3 top tier running backs. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
They had the Philadelphia Eagles in week 2 of the preseason had 6 running backs receive carries in that game. All of which are names that you actually know, and none of those names were Corey Clement, who I don't even know if he's still on the roster or not, or Darren Sproles. So 6 guys carried the ball. I'm pretty sure it was like Sanders, Howard, Josh Adams, and 3 other guys, Danielle Pumphrey. Anyway, point being, they have $1 billion and 1 backs there. Yeah, 6 guys carried the ball. It was unbelievable. Oh, Wendell Smallwood's still there. I'm just curious who ends up actually on the roster and what their involvement is. If Sproles comes back and if Clement's actually on the team too. So
I think Corey Clement makes it because of special teams. Sanders, Howard. I mean, that's the three I think would be locked in. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Adams was the odd man out, and I would say Adams and Smallwood would be the odd man out, and have Sproles and Clement with the two starters.
Oh yeah, Boston Scott. Boston Scott was the other one there as well. Boston Scott and Donnell Pumphrey.
Yeah, Pumphrey won't make it. Scott has an outside chance. That's how I view. I don't think they bring in more than 5 on the active roster, so I think it's going to be the 4. And I think Clement and Sproles. I think Clement because of his special teams role, and Sproles because it's Darren Sproles. I mean, they're not going to cut. They asked him to come back. I'd be surprised if they cut him.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Gabe.
Yeah.
Hitting our boys to men into the road here.
All right. I will be soprano. You will be the obvious alto, right? As far as voices go. It's the end of the road. Huh? And okay. Would we rather just list the entire depth chart of wide receivers and talk about NFL players that we know?
No, Gabe. It's time. It's time.
Okay.
Can we get a Bruce Buffer? It's time.
I don't know how it goes. It's time.
That works. I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do what I can.
Okay, Jay.
Oh, no. Wait.
Oh,
Before we go.
yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Josh Bigby comes in last second, sneaks us in.
Okay.
Would you trade, I'm guessing this is David Montgomery, for Antonio Brown?
But what if it's Ty?
Hear me out for a
I
second.
need some clarity here.
I've seen those feet, man, and I'm snap accepting. Get a Le'Veon's handcuff, call it a day.
Yep. I remember when he had third round pedigree. I don't know if that was redraft or startups, but I remember those days, man.
But what if it's time?
It's time.
Montgomery. Oh man, that's good.
I personally I want off of Antonio Brown, and it's not just because of the fee. I mean, I've been off of him because of his age, and he's a depreciating asset. And going from Pittsburgh to Oakland, I don't think his price was ever reduced going to Oakland. He's always had the same ADP, even though he's had a downgrade in quarterback, and just the unknown of Jay Gruden. Gruden, who's going to be the offensive coordinator there?
Check my book.
I can't remember. So, I mean, I just think that there's too many unknowns in Oakland. And you look at Montgomery being kind of like the sexy, shiny new toy. And even if he sputters, he's going to hold value. If Antonio Brown struggles, his value is going to plummet, regardless of the feet. He just needs Rex. If he gets Rex Ryan to come take care of his feet, I guarantee Peter will be just fine with him.
Good to go.
Greg Olson, offensive coordinator.
Greg Olson. The Greg Olson.
The non-tight end version. Yeah. Different
one of the Greg
spelling
one of
name as well.
One of the many Greg Olsons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gabe.
All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eitan.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just going to reiterate that it's got to be David Montgomery. Just because you can expect him to have his value or increased value next season, whereas Antonio Brown is almost certain to depreciate. It's almost certain to be worth less next season than it is this season. I do have fears with David Montgomery because I do think Tariq Cohen is still going to play a role. Last season, Chicago was insanely lucky with the number of close games that they were able to win. If Chicago has a defense that just takes a little bit of a step back, then we can see a lot more passing that offense. We can see a lot bigger contribution from Cohen this year than we might have expected. But I mean, long term, yeah, I think that's got to be David Montgomery in favor of Antonio Brown.
Man,
How the mighty have fallen.
I didn't realize it was that far down. I don't know. I didn't know that Monty had risen that much.
I don't think it's Monty rising. I think it's Brown falling.
Yeah. Okay.
The flooring has fallen beneath his feet. It's pretty bleak. Mm-hmm. That said, anywho, Gabe, take us home, baby.
All right. Gee. Boy, howdy, wasn't this just a delightful night? I don't even know what we talked about. Can we do a run back of what we talked about, J Mike? Just real. Oh, right. Okay. So
no, I was actually going in reverse for you.
I was gotcha. I thought you were doing the Tony Pollard, like that he actually came to life.
You'll know when I'm doing the Tony Pollard.
Oh, you'll know.
There'll be no mistaking the Tony Pollard.
I really couldn't tell if you froze or not. Man, we just do so many things on this show. Stop it. Wait, no, keep doing it. All right. You asked for this the whole night.
30 minutes.
We just do things on this show and we don't know what it is that we do. But a huge reason to join us live is to see things. Excuse me, Pete. See things like this.
Out.
The Tony Pollard, the Albert Wilson, the Josh Gordon, the Aton Flamin' Mosia. You have a different handle by now, I think, or at least there should be a bet.
I don't know if I'm going to go with Aton Flaming Mosia. I'm going to have to maybe pick something else.
Marshawn Mosia. I like that.
Marshawn Mosia. I like
there
that.
Beast Mosia. Beast Mosia.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's good.
Gosh,
very
how
good.
does it work?
I don't get how you've never now you look like Derrick Henry. How are you doing this?
I just morph. I'm a transformer. I can just do it from time to time.
Morphin Mosia. Mighty Morphin Mosia. Okay. We any others? No. Okay. This was great. I don't know what else to say, but to let other people say things. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to speak about what they're doing or a potential name switch that they're thinking about. You tell me. Izzy, we will start with you, my man. What have you got to share?
What am I supposed to be doing?
Whatever you want, man. You got your best Tony Pollard look. We can all just like go with one of those on the way out. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what am I supposed to be promoting something?
Sure, if you'd like.
Check out my SoundCloud. No,
Okay.
no, I don't know. Just don't follow me. Don't listen to our show. Doesn't matter.
Perfect.
Signed off. Josh Gordon, wide receiver 1. Preston Williams, wide receiver 2.
The brand.
The brand, yeah.
Spoken. All right, so go check Izzy's SoundCloud. No?
No.
Okay. Don't do that. Instead, go and check Aton's SoundCloud. Now is he frozen? Now I can't tell again.
I think he's legit frozen.
He is legit frozen with a smile, the Marshawn smile.
Just so you know, Aton, this isn't counting against the bet. Like the clock's not running.
Yeah. Clock's not running. All right. While he gets unfrozen, Pete, I'll give you the chance to say anything you'd like to say or share.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's up way past my bedtime, but it was worth it. And yeah, I know. With all due respect to your sponsor, I would like to plug Neutrogena Night Cream Moisturizer. It keeps me feeling fresh and helps me look great on these video podcasts. So yeah, get some Neutrogena Night Cream.
Indeed, I agree.
I agree.
I don't. I mean, there's such the problem is there's such a beef in the beauty world. We all know this.
I know. I didn't want to break it up.
You're just trying to look fresh, okay?
Dude,
Real can of
worms.
He's mad.
Aton just left. He didn't even say goodbye.
He gone. He gone.
Yeah.
In the event that he doesn't come back, back in. I'll give him. Oh, he's chatting it. No, I don't know. Okay. In the event that he doesn't come back, he's on a few podcasts. I might have to go to his Twitter profile to actually figure out what they are. I just know the one. Pop the hood.
It's a
Tell me what
great
you
song.
see. Aton and Stompy as a team, they're unstoppable. No. Where is he?
Okay,
Jay?
yep, we got it. We get
I
it.
got it. I'm just trying to find.
Mm-hmm.
Great song.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great song. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
I mean, considering it's FF Man Bun, it's a great song.
You mean what? What? You mean the name, the handle? Not a fan.
Yeah. What's your rap name?
Genius, without an E.
With like
My wife came up with it when I was like a senior in high school.
Genius.
Just kind of kept it.
Without an E.
Mm-hmm. Because G, Gabe, Gearing.
Oh, and then
If I just
Nias.
did the word genius, I mean, that's pretty straightforward and obvious. I figured I'd at least, put a twist on it.
Nice. Well, yeah, he's got some genius, got some flow.
All right.
I like that.
Can't appreciate that.
Can Genius and Mans have like a music video?
Whoa.
Man.
Yeah,
You talk about a collab of the century.
That would be a
Dude,
request, huh?
we need to. I want to get in on some of your music videos. That's what Mans has never done, a music video, and shoot something on location.
Like a Boats and Hose, like part 2.
Right.
Worldwide. Wide.
Where are you, Pete?
Located?
Ready,
Oh, just
Canada.
outside of Boston.
Okay.
Yeah. You're Austin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't I
Austin.
see? Because I was there in April at that like opening practice game, and it seemed like we were ships passing in the sea. You were there in the first half or something.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah. Because Josh was up here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do a music video sometime soon. Maybe. Yeah, we need to. I think a logical fit now that Hooters is sponsoring all these draft parties across the country and the open bar. I think we show up, shoot a music video at one of these Hooters draft parties.
Okay, this is
something
I'm really interested in.
We've got 2 early submissions for your collaboration when you guys become a rap duo that rivals only Outkast. I think that it's the we've got FF Man's Buns, which is
I like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, FF Man's Buns is pretty dope. I immediately just thought of Austin to Boston. That was the first one that came through my head. So I think that we've got the beginning of something beautiful. So we'll see what happens here.
Wow,
I like it.
I never thought that I would be so honored to put Z's at the end of my handle.
I never thought I'd be so honored to put buns at the end of mine.
Holy cow. All right. I don't know if Aton's coming back, but he does podcasts and he's on Number Fire and he's on he is part of the
He is. Yeah, he's part of the channel. Yeah.
And I know Izzy's not telling you that, but he is a part of that as well. His podcast with the homie JP Hurley. Go check that out and go check out whatever the Mans is doing or the Pete is doing. He does a lot of things, a lot of entertaining things, much enjoyable content. J Mike, I guess it's your turn to say some stuff.
Sure. As always, to our guests, thank you very, very much for being with us. Even young Elkafas with the snippet that we'll be using on the show from here on out.
Can you say thank you for listening to the open bar?
Thank you for listening to the open bar.
Money.
God,
absolute money.
Color fire.
To everyone in the chat, thank you guys for rocking with us. Man, the chat was lit. We had a lot of fun. You guys always keep it fun for us and give us a lot of good content to be able to leverage. So thank you guys. To everyone that's listening to this in podcast form, we appreciate you very much. Even if you don't rate and subscribe, which we hope that you do, we're just about everywhere where podcasts can be had. We've had little issues with Apple. They haven't been the best of friends with us of late in terms of trying to get things uploaded there, but we're everywhere else, including Spotify, Stitcher, all those others as well. So Again, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for spending your Tuesday night with us. You can find me on Twitter at jmikecheck, at jmiccheck. You can find the show's handle online at the Open Bar Pod. And my main man, the host with the most, Mr. Man's Buns himself, at FF Man Bun on Twitter. Gabe, take us home.
I am trying to get a screen grab of Aton's new Twitter page, but I guess I can just tell y'all that it is officially been changed. Not the handle, but the name at least. He is now 3-Minute Mosier.
That's unfortunate for him.
I don't know.
People are going to think that's referencing something else.
Now he wants that 30-minute take, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
30-minute Mosier.
At least our bet wasn't 30-second. That wouldn't have been too nice for his handle.
30-second. Oh boy.
Oh man, we've punked on him enough tonight.
Oh, J Mike got it. Okay. Well, if you're still here with us live, we do indeed have Aton's Twitter page.
Amazing.
Mosier. Wonderful. All right. We are here next week. Yeah, J Mike, is that true? Yeah. Well, yeah. Hey, J Mike, you just sit back, relax. I got this, partner. We're here next week. Just so you know, if you wanted to know that information. If you could
All facts.
If you could come back next week and be my co-host, that'd be great.
I'll be here.
Great. So we will do that. J Mike probably didn't mention the Dummy Blitz, and that's his podcast that he does. Go listen to that. We got a store that we haven't posted anything in a while, but we still got the OGT. I saw some people out at the Midwest Expo, whatever FF Expo, whatever that handle is called, rocking the open bar tee. I think I saw Adam, and he kind of looked like Baker Mayfield from the right angle. Definitely from the right angle. So we got a whole bunch of doppelgangers in this industry, turns out. And what else? Intros. I do those sometimes. Coming soon, FF Man's Buns, the intro that's going to just take over the world. Y'all ain't ready for this. I don't know. That's it. Fellas, we do a tradition here since you're noobs to the show, little cheersies to the camera, whether that is real or not. It could be a dap. It could be anything. A microphone that also works, since that's what we're rocking with here. And until then, shoot. We will see y'all next week. Deuces.
Peace.
Thanks for having us on.